The big topic of today's video is confidence. We're gonna talk about what constitutes confidence, how to build your own, and whether or not our favorite imposter syndrome is as bad as we like to portray it. Spoiler alert, it's not, but you'll have to watch till the end of this video to find out why. I feel like there are two types of confidence. The first one is more this general feeling, this underlying mindset, while the second one is more practical, it's more skill specific, and as the name suggests, it's focused heavily on a particular skill or area of expertise. Let's start with the first one, with the first type of confidence. Most content aiming at helping you develop your confidence, this mindset where you believe in your own abilities, will suggest using guided meditations, affirmations, or journaling prompts. And all of these are great tools, but I prefer to work on the problem by tackling the root cause of it. In this case, it is looking at the 3 building blocks of confidence and working on them one by one. The 3 building blocks are being okay with disagreement or conflict, authenticity, and empathy. Let's start with the first one, being okay with disagreement or conflict. Being disliked, being disagreed with are all natural parts of life. When we are confident in our own choices, in our own lifestyle, we usually don't mind other people disapproving of our choices because basically we act as our own support system, and that's enough for us. We also stop worrying about displeasing others because we know that strong relationships can withstand a bit of disagreement. This creates this feedback loop, so we learn to support our own decisions. Technically, you need to be okay with conflict to build confidence. Of course, it's easier said than done, and I'm not gonna suggest you to turn the tiniest issues into big conflicts and fight constantly with your friends, your significant other, or your boss at work. But there are still a few things you can do. What I would suggest to you is practice speaking up for yourself. There might be an uncomfortable situation, let's say at work. Maybe your boss or your colleague asks you to do something that's outside of your main responsibilities. You feel anger, you feel resentment, you feel frustration, but you can't really come up with the right words right in the moment when they ask you to take on this extra project. So what you do, you take a step back, you process your feelings, you come up with the right wording, and you get back to the situation. You say, hey, we just had a chat an hour ago, 2 hours ago, we had a chat a day ago. I really need you to think about what we discussed, but now that I look at my workload, I realize that it's too much. Can we maybe find someone else to take care of this task? Or can we postpone it? Or let's take a look at our priorities and decide what's more important, what's less important, and how we take it from there. And the same goes for personal relationships. You can tell your friend, your significant other, your parents that, hey, I needed some time to process my feelings. I couldn't really come up with the right wording, and that's what I think of the situation right now. And the more you do it, the more okay you will be with it. You will notice after a while that you can think on your feet much better than you used to. You will also notice that things don't go awry when you voice your opinions. Maybe you will be even more respected at work because your boss, your colleagues will know your boundaries and they will stop crossing them. You will also notice that when things do go south, when this smaller conflict turns into a bigger fight, you can still patch things up, and it is not the end of the world. It does not mean an immediate breakup or the fact that you might get fired. It is just a natural part of life. The next building block is authenticity. Authenticity means being okay with being yourself. The polished you, the messy you, the smart side of you, the not so smart side of you, all of you, especially the shadow side. And again, I like to say that acceptance doesn't equal indulgence. Being okay with all of your sides simply means taking them for what they are. Even if you dislike some of your qualities or traits, or you're not happy about some of your skills, you cannot change from a place of denial. You have to accept what you have in order to be able to work on it. And why working on authenticity and especially on accepting your shadow side is so important is because it's the best cure to perfectionism. The way I see it, perfectionism and confidence are on the opposite sides of spectrum. When you set up unrealistic expectations for yourself, you will never feel like you're enough. Confidence doesn't come from being the smartest person in the room. It comes from being okay with what you got at the moment. If instead of going from 1 to 100, you go from 1 to 5, from 5 to 10, and so on until you reach 100, you will be way more satisfied with your progress, you will enjoy the process more, and you will be less prone to give up. And it is not to say that being ambitious is bad. Ambition is good, but it should be grounded in reality. And for that, we need to learn to accept both our gifts and our shortcomings. And the final building block is empathy. Now you might be wondering, what does empathy have to do with confidence? It's rather simple. When your friend is in a difficult situation they blame themselves for, you will look for ways to console them. You will tell them that what just happened is normal and there is absolutely nothing extraordinary in it, and it doesn't mean that they are a bad or incompetent person. The more you practice this talk, the more likely it'll turn into a self-talk. So you will create this persona of a best friend, and you will use this persona to talk to yourself when you are in a difficult situation or when you are unsure about your own decisions or your own life path. Additionally, the more you'll see that literally nobody is perfect, especially the people whom you might perceive as invincible. For some it's their parents, for some it's their significant other, and for some it's their friends. The more you'll see that even these people screw up every now and then, the more okay you will be with being imperfect. You will see that nobody, literally nobody, has got it all together, and there is no right or wrong way to live a life, which will feed into your own confidence. Now let's move on to the second type of confidence, the more skill-focused one. Here the recommendations will differ slightly. So what we want to do, we want to take a look at all of our skills, all of our areas of expertise, write down the ones we feel inadequate about, and look for ways to close this gap. When I started in marketing, there was plenty I didn't know. My background is not in marketing, it's in linguistics, alright? So I had to learn quite a lot. And what I did, every time I encountered an unfamiliar term or concept, I Googled it. Or I asked my colleagues or my manager. The first option would always be Google, but you do what you gotta do. I never turned it in this big project. I didn't try to consume 3 years worth of marketing education just to feel better, but I built my own knowledge and my own expertise step by step. You can do the same. If you're not sure about your abilities or experience, you can look for courses that will help you work on your skills. You can work with a mentor to turn passive knowledge into an active skill set. Or you can talk to a senior member of the team and ask them for a piece of advice. If, let's say, your main problem is speaking up in meetings, then you can take on a public speaking course, you can prepare what you're planning to say beforehand, or you can ask your teammate, your colleagues, your manager even to support you when you are about to voice your opinions. It's the same with looks. I remember when I was a teen, I would wear a lot of pastel colors and then I wouldn't like the way my skin looked. It always looked gray, dull, sullen to me. I always felt that there I always felt that there must have been something wrong with my skin tone. But once I learned about what colors, shapes, textures enhanced my natural features and I started implementing this knowledge, I also started liking what I saw in the mirror more. I find that the best way to become a truly confident person, to embody this confidence, is to work both on your mindset and your skills. So you will be getting more familiar with the 3 building blocks of confidence and working on them. And at the same time, you will be developing your own skills or your own style, whichever it is you're struggling with the most. Finally, let's talk about our favorite imposter syndrome. Is it really that bad? Of course, it all depends on the extent to which this imposter syndrome affects your life, but I would say that it can be quite helpful. When we start something new, it's more than normal to feel inadequate about our own abilities. This discomfort can actually be a great source of motivation for you to expand your knowledge and build new connections. I would even go as far as state that confidence without the imposter syndrome is mere arrogance. Without this discomfort, you lose curiosity, you stop evolving, and you stagnate in your own ways. So my suggestion to you is don't treat this feeling as an enemy, but rather as a friend that's inviting you to become a better person. And also, don't fear the imposter syndrome. You experiencing it doesn't diminish all the work you've done on building confidence, because the imposter syndrome is not the opposite of confidence, it's part of it. And this is it on today's topic. Let me know your thoughts on developing confidence in the comment section, and as always, I wish you a great day. I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.